What if I told you some of your favorite celebrities have changed so drastically, they're almost unrecognizable today? In Hollywood, where youth is treated like a requirement, many stars turn to plastic surgery to hold on to their image. But behind these transformations are real pressure, real risks, and outcomes no one expects. These aren't just glow-ups, they're stories you need to see. Linda Evangelista was once one of the most iconic faces in fashion, a supermodel who defined beauty in the 1990s and helped shape the modern runway. Known for her confidence, versatility, and ability to reinvent herself, she became a symbol of power in an industry built on image. But years later, her story took a turn that no one expected. Hoping to make a subtle, non-surgical change, Linda underwent cool sculpting, a popular procedure marketed as a quick and safe way to reduce fat. Instead of the results she was promised, she developed a rare condition called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, where fat cells grow larger instead of shrinking. The outcome left her appearance significantly altered, something that deeply affected her both physically and emotionally. For a long time, Linda stepped away from public life, avoiding cameras and struggling with the impact of what had happened. She later shared that the experience led to a loss of confidence and a sense of isolation that was difficult to overcome. When she eventually spoke publicly about her journey, it changed the conversation around cosmetic procedures. Treatments often presented as simple and low risk can still carry serious complications, and her story made that reality impossible to ignore. In recent years, Linda has slowly returned to the public eye, appearing at major fashion events and reconnecting with the industry that once defined her. Today, she is not only remembered for her groundbreaking career, but also respected for her honesty and resilience. Her story stands as a powerful reminder that behind every transformation, there can be consequences no one talks about. Kenny Rogers was more than just a country music legend. He was a familiar, comforting presence whose voice and storytelling connected with millions over decades. With classics like The Gambler and Islands in the Stream, he built a legacy rooted in authenticity and emotional depth. But as the years passed, the pressure to maintain a youthful appearance in an increasingly image-driven industry began to grow. Like many performers constantly in the spotlight, Kenny faced the reality that aging could impact how audiences perceived him. In the 1990s, he chose to undergo cosmetic procedures, including a facelift and eyelid surgery, hoping for a subtle refresh. Instead, the results altered his features more than expected. His once rugged, expressive face appeared tighter and less natural, and fans began to notice the difference. For some, it was difficult to reconcile the new look with the familiar image they had known for years. Kenny himself later spoke openly about the experience, admitting that he wasn't fully satisfied and felt a disconnect when looking at his reflection. Despite this, what truly defined him never changed. His voice, his music, and his ability to tell stories remained as powerful as ever. He continued performing and connecting with audiences, proving that his talent went far beyond appearance. When he passed away in 2020, he left behind a legacy that had little to do with how he looked and everything to do with what he created. His story serves as a reminder that even in Hollywood, where image is often prioritized, true impact comes from authenticity, not perfection. Lisa Rinna became one of the most recognizable personalities on American television, known for her confidence, bold attitude, and instantly identifiable look. But her relationship with cosmetic procedures began long before she reached mainstream fame. In her early 20s, influenced by Hollywood beauty standards and a desire to stand out, she chose to get silicone lip injections. At the time, fuller lips represented confidence and individuality, and for many years that decision seemed to define her image in a positive way. Her lips became her signature, something audiences associated with her on screen and in public appearances. However, over time, the long-term effects of permanent fillers began to appear. The silicone hardened, leading to uneven texture, discomfort, and visible asymmetry. What once felt empowering slowly became a physical and emotional challenge. After nearly 25 years, Lisa made the difficult decision to undergo corrective surgery to remove the damaged tissue. While the procedure improved her condition, it could not completely restore her natural appearance. In the years that followed, she continued exploring other cosmetic treatments, including Botox and temporary fillers, in an effort to maintain a balanced look. As social media expanded, public attention intensified. Fans began to notice subtle changes in her facial expressions, often describing them as more restricted or less natural than before. Criticism grew, and discussions about her appearance sometimes overshadowed her career. More recently, Lisa has spoken openly about her experience, acknowledging that some choices did not turn out as expected. She has since scaled back certain procedures and embraced a more natural approach. Her story reflects the complexity of beauty decisions in Hollywood, where the line between confidence and consequence can shift over time. Cayetana Fitz-James Stuart was one of the most remarkable figures in European high society, known not only for her noble titles, but also for her vibrant personality and independent spirit. As the Duchess of Alba, she carried centuries of history and cultural influence, living a life surrounded by art, tradition, and public attention. Despite her status, she was never distant or reserved. Instead, she embraced life with energy, often surprising the public with her bold choices and unapologetic attitude. But like anyone constantly in the spotlight, she faced the inevitable reality of aging under intense scrutiny. Over time, reports suggested that she turned to cosmetic procedures in an effort to maintain a youthful appearance. What may have started as subtle enhancements gradually evolved into multiple treatments, including facelifts and injectable procedures. As the years passed, the cumulative effects became more noticeable, altering her natural features in ways that drew public attention. Her appearance was further complicated by a rare medical condition, Melkerson-Rosenthal syndrome, which can cause facial swelling and made it difficult to separate health-related changes from cosmetic ones. As a result, discussions about her looks often overshadowed her extraordinary life and legacy. Despite the scrutiny, Cayetana remained true to herself. She continued to live boldly, even making headlines later in life when she married a much younger partner, a decision seen as a powerful expression of personal freedom. When she passed away in 2014, she left behind far more than conversations about appearance. Her story reflects the complexity of aging in the public eye, where image, health, and identity can become intertwined, and where resilience and individuality ultimately define a person far more than outward perfection. Goldie Hawn has been a symbol of warmth, humor, and natural charm in Hollywood for decades. Rising to fame in the late 1960s and becoming a beloved star through the 70s and 80s, she built a career that felt effortless and genuine. With her bright personality, expressive eyes, and unmistakable laugh, she represented a kind of beauty that didn't feel forced. Audiences connected with her not just because of how she looked, but because of how she made them feel. As time passed, however, even someone as naturally radiant as Goldie faced the realities of aging in an industry that often prioritizes youth. Over the years, there has been ongoing speculation about whether she has used cosmetic treatments such as Botox or facial fillers. While she has never publicly confirmed specific procedures, observers have noted subtle changes in her appearance during certain public appearances. Smoother skin and slightly more defined features led to conversations about the balance between natural aging and modern enhancements. At the same time, it's important to recognize that factors like lighting, makeup, and normal aging can also influence how someone looks on camera. Despite the attention to her appearance, Goldie's legacy has never depended on perfection. In recent years, she has stepped back from frequent acting, choosing to focus on her family, including her longtime partner Kurt Russell and her daughter Kate Hudson. She has also dedicated significant time to her Mind Up Foundation, promoting mental health and emotional well-being. Goldie Hawn's story reflects the reality of growing older in the public eye, but it also highlights something more meaningful. True impact isn't defined by appearance, but by authenticity, kindness, and the ability to evolve with grace. Joan Van Ark rose to prominence as one of television's most familiar and admired faces, especially for her role on Knots Landing. With her soft features, expressive eyes, and natural elegance, she represented a classic standard of beauty that audiences connected with easily. Her presence felt warm and authentic, something that defined an earlier era of Hollywood. But as the industry evolved, so did the pressures surrounding appearance. Like many performers working under constant public attention, Joan faced the challenge of aging in a world that rarely accepts it. In the early stages, any changes to her appearance were subtle and largely unnoticed, including what was believed to be a minor rhinoplasty. However, over time, those adjustments appeared to expand into additional procedures, such as facelifts, eyelid surgery, and other cosmetic treatments. The cumulative effect gradually altered her look. Her once soft and open expressions seemed more restrained, and some of the natural warmth audiences remembered became less visible. As media technology advanced and high-definition cameras became standard, these changes were amplified. Public conversations began to shift, focusing less on her talent and more on her appearance. For an actress with a long and respected career, that shift in attention marked a difficult transition. Joan herself has remained relatively private about the details, choosing not to publicly discuss specific procedures or decisions. Still, her story reflects a broader reality in Hollywood. Aging under constant observation can lead to choices shaped not just by personal desire, but by expectation and pressure. Joan Van Ark's journey highlights how even small changes, over time, can create a transformation that audiences struggle to reconcile with the image they once knew. Toya Jackson grew up in one of the most famous families in entertainment, where the spotlight was constant and comparisons were unavoidable. As the sister of Michael Jackson, she entered the public eye at a young age, navigating fame while trying to build her own identity. In the 1980s, she pursued a career in music, acting, and modeling, presenting herself as a more independent and accessible figure within the Jackson legacy. But behind the scenes, the pressure to maintain a certain image continued to grow. Living in an environment where appearance was constantly judged, even subtle changes became highly visible. In the late 1980s, Toya reportedly underwent rhinoplasty, a decision that quickly drew attention. Over time, it's believed she pursued additional cosmetic procedures, including further refinements to her nose and other facial enhancements. Each step may have been intended to maintain a polished, camera-ready look, but the cumulative effect gradually changed her natural features. As her appearance evolved, public scrutiny intensified. Observers began to note a more sculpted, sometimes tighter look, and comparisons to her brother resurfaced, shaping how audiences perceived her. In many cases, discussions about her appearance began to overshadow her work and personal growth. In recent years, Toya has taken a quieter approach to public life, appearing occasionally on television and focusing more on personal reflection than public validation. She has spoken more openly about her experiences, choosing to center her story on resilience rather than speculation. Her journey reflects the reality of living under constant attention, where identity, image, and expectation are deeply intertwined, and where the pressure to maintain a certain look can shape decisions in ways that last a lifetime. In the end, these stories remind us that behind every transformation is a real person facing real pressure. Hollywood may celebrate perfection, but it often hides the risks, the regrets, and the emotional cost that come with it. What we see on the surface isn't always the full story. So what do you think? Are these changes worth it, or do they come at too high a price? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If this video made you think differently, Don't forget to like and share it with someone who should see it. And make sure you subscribe for more real stories behind the spotlight.